Come abide with me. Bless you. You know, in times of sunshine and heat, lend themselves to a rather celebratory mood. So it is fitting that the gods saw fit to damp that down a little bit. Because this is a time, not so much of celebration, but of reflection. These are serious times, and so were those in 1967. We welcome you all to this profound event that we're having here today. It was nighttime, and it was hot. The telephone rang in the middle of the night, and someone called my father and said that there was something happening on 12th Street. We were all aroused. He jumped up, left the house, and headed over to his record store, which was called Joe's Record Shop on 12th Street between Philadelphia and Euclid. We lived in Highland Park. That was the place of our home. And Highland Park is a couple of miles away from that location on 12th Street. However, in the morning when we finally got really aroused back up again as children, we could look over the horizon towards 12th Street and we could see the black smoke. And we could see that smoke and know that our lives would never be the same. That was my father's livelihood in those flames. So as it was, the conflagration continued for days. It was a time much like this. There was a great deal of tension in the air, combined with the heat of the summer, so that many people felt that the heat itself was a harbinger of things to come. And in Detroit, the neighborhoods heaved, and the tension rippled like steam off of it in the neighborhoods where people felt disenfranchised and unequally treated. It was a similar time as what we see today. Let us be clear on that. It was several days later when the police and National Guard allowed us to go back on 12th Street to see what the consequences were of the rage and retaliation. My father had been holding vigil there for day after day until he was disallowed to stand in front of the record shop with his shotgun any longer. When he finally let us go back with him a few days later, we climbed through the debris of once was one of the most seminal record shops in Detroit, with some of the most significant voices in recording history, captured on reel-to-reel tapes. And those tapes were now wet and destroyed. And they slithered like snakes all over the bottom floor of the record store because it was filled with water and debris. I like to say that my father died on that day. Because from that day on, the alcoholism that he was already afflicted with took a significant turn for the worse, as his way of providing for his family was ultimately destroyed. We did not bury him until several years later, but he died on that day. I believe that we are here in a very special time and a very special place because we are Detroit. Detroit is a special place. Detroit is a place that actually changed the way the world moves. It is a place in which people upchuck inventions and change the way that people live. And I believe that here in Detroit, we have a magnificent opportunity to one more time show the world what it is that we do here.
All right.
We make things.
Yes.
And not only do we make things, we make society. We make middle classes. We make peace.
Yes, yes.
And it is within our power to change the narrative of what goes on in many cities and show the world how we're going to do this in Detroit. To learn the lessons that were learned and taught to us in 1967. But in order to learn them, you have to know them. For the first time in history, the Detroit Historical Museum is expressly dedicated to capturing the stories of all Detroiters. The Detroit Historical Museum and its leadership is committed to learning the lessons of 1967, to uncovering truths of 1967 that were heretofore even unknown, and to sharing those truths with the world from all of us. So we are in a very special place. We are in a very special time. I welcome you here for the opening day of what will be a year of reflection, commemoration, affirmation, and deep, deep thought about what it means to be a Detroiter, about what it has meant and what it will mean. I thank you very much for your being here, and I wish you a lovely